It has been an incredible year for RPGs, and I find it fitting personally that we are ending the year with a game from the father of one of my favorite video game series of all time. That is Final Fantasy, and the creator of Final Fantasy is Hironobu Sakaguchi, and in today's video we are covering the game FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got you covered with timestamps, so if you want to skip to a certain section of the video, feel free to do so. All I ask is you to support the channel and hit that like button, and if you want to stick around for some more RPG content, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. Now a quick note, the code was provided to me by Square Enix, so I can gather my thoughts, my opinions, and the footage you are seeing in today's video before its release. Though these are all my opinions in this video and my opinions alone. FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. Now, I think I need to note, starting this video off, that this game originally came out in 2021 on Apple Arcade, and I think we can all agree that not many people had access or wanted to play this kind of game on a mobile device. I jumped at the opportunity because of course I am Hironobu Sakaguchi, Nobuo Uematsu, count me in, but I fell into the thing of just like, I don't really want to be playing this on my mobile, so I kind of abandoned it with the hopes that eventually it would come to console, and it is finally here. Also, I feel like it's important for me to note where I am with the game. I have put in over 50 hours so far, and I am yet to roll credits. FANTASIAN is split up into two parts. If you've played the Apple Arcade version, it was released separately. You have part 1 and part 2. I am at the end of part 2, and I think it's important to note that the game does have its sections because it'll relate to a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about going forward in today's video. So let's dive in and start off with the story of FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. Now, the story focuses on Leo, a young man who wakes up in a strange land following a massive explosion. Even more distressingly, his memories are almost entirely gone, just one remains. Guided by this last remaining shred of his past, Leo sets out on a journey to reclaim what he has lost and unravel the miseries of a bizarre mechanical infection that corrupts all it touches. That's pretty much the story in a nutshell. I don't want to spoil any more than that because this has been a great experience and it's quite a fascinating story that is told here. Not only that, this version in FANTASIAN Neo Dimension includes voice acting, and this brings a whole new perspective on the story. This is beautifully told and the voice acting is top tier in my mind. It really invested me that much more when it came to the story. There are various ways that the story are told, through cutscenes, through just dialogue when you're listening to the characters interact with one another. There's cutscenes, and there's also like a storybook that just gives you still images that set the scene and really tell intimate moments. Now, these can be quite long and a lot of people might think, I want to skip these, but with the music accompanying it and the voice acting and just the imagery on screen, I really felt like it was touching on all the elements that it needed to do when telling this story. Let's quickly touch on the characters because we have quite the wide cast of characters here. These are all pretty easygoing characters. We learn about them as we go in the game. They have their moments and they have their side stories as well that really give them personality and really get you invested into those characters and what they're trying to do in this world. Now, before I go into the gameplay, I need to reiterate the fact that this is a game created by Hironobu Sakaguchi with music composed by Nobuo Uematsu. So this is hitting on all cylinders for me. So I'm going to be overly positive about this. This is like a Final Fantasy spiritual successor. And in a nutshell, it really does. I feel like if this was released after Final Fantasy 9 or even after Final Fantasy 10, if this was the offline Final Fantasy 11, that it will fit in so nicely. It really feels like a PS1, early PS2 era RPG. And with those minds behind the game, I really enjoyed everything I witnessed when it came to FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. But let's talk about the gameplay, and we're going to start off with my favorite, and that is the exploration. This is a real treat. Now, each one of these maps are dioramas that have been created by the team by hand. Everything you see in the game has been photographed at different angles to create this seamless effect between a pre-rendered background kind of feel. Now, I did notice that sometimes as the camera switches between these dioramas that you have this like ghosting that happens. It wasn't too much of a distraction. It felt quite natural, to be honest, and I soon got used to it, but it is something that you do notice as you start off playing this. Also, the controls. I need to talk about it because it's something I definitely got used to over time, but at first was very daunting, and that's when the diorama changes its position. The button that you are positioned is now going to be the direction that you face. It's very complicated to explain, but basically you need to recalibrate where you are with the analog stick each time that movement changes. I feel like this is something that can't really be fixed, so I just kind of got used to recalibrating the analog stick to where I'm facing each time that the camera changes. But apart from that, these are absolutely beautiful. There's so many locales that are represented in these dioramas, and it just makes the game look stunning. Now, when it comes to basic exploration, there's items, there's chests, there's things hidden all over the map, there's Easter eggs, there's little references, and there's story to be told by the NPCs. Everything I like when I'm just exploring through a new world. Not only that, we have a world map. Now, this world feels quite small. You visit various different worlds, but the game does a job of just making it seem absolutely massive. There's more secrets to discover, whether that's bosses or secret quests or secret items. It's all here, and it made exploration, and still is making exploration, quite the treat. Not only that, as time goes on, you have the opportunity to warp around. So if you want to get to a certain place a little bit faster, you can do that. Or if you want to trek from A to B, you can also do that as well. From exploration, let's go over to combat. It is a traditional turn-based RPG. I believe one of the combat directors is the same combat director from Final Fantasy X, and there is a lot of that DNA here. You have like a conditional combat system that can change pending if you have faster speed or if you use a certain status effect or debuff on the enemy. This is quite a challenging but rewarding battle system, and as time goes on and you get to that part 2 section of the game, it opens up even more. We can swap characters in and out of battle without the expense of a turn and really strategize when it comes to some of those boss battles. They call the main system of the game the trajectory system. There are certain abilities that you need to use that can maybe go through enemies or round enemies to hit certain weak spots or to get the battle going a little bit further. It's a great system. It gives you that moment to think, is this the best action that I should be taking? And it really shakes things up and makes things feel fresh in such a old school turn-based RPG style. One of the other systems is the Dimengeon System. If you're getting sick of going into random battles, because random battles will happen, you can have the option to store it, and this can be upgraded throughout the game to store even more battles. But what it does is it locks all those enemies away until it hits its cap, and you can fight them all at the same time, and it makes it a little bit more exciting because you have little crystals that are on there that can maybe enhance your attack, or maybe you've just been poisoned during this and you don't have anything spare. You have the option that a crystal of a remedy might appear. You can hit that and it does the same thing. There is also crystals there that can extend your turns, so you can really try and rinse all these enemies down as quick as possible. You get all of the experience in one go. Strategy really matters when it comes to the combat of FANTASIAN Neo Dimension, because some of the boss fights have certain mechanics that you need to abide to. Going back to the Final Fantasy X style of battles, there are certain parts of that game where you have to hit something that's not an enemy to get the battle going. It's the same here. You really use your mind. The equipment that you have matters. The jewels that you can equip as well that have certain status debuffs or protection against certain elements are always going to come in key. You're probably going to want to lose a few battles here and there to get used to what this boss might be introducing, so you can equip accordingly. There is a lot of management here, and it's really satisfying when you get the victory, though I really would have loved a victory fanfare. I feel like it's something that's missing here in FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. I'm going to finish off with the boss battles because I have not long done a boss battle that took me up to 10 attempts. It can be quite brutal. You really need to, like I said, strategize and make sure you've got the right equipment. Maybe you do need to grind some EXP, but I found the boss battles to be pretty epic and really rewarding once you finally defeat them. I would love to talk more and more about combat, but it's really something that you need to witness for yourself. I mentioned jewels when we were talking about battles. Essentially, these are pieces of equipment that could raise your MP, they could raise your attack. Maybe they will protect you against a certain element. Maybe when you take a strong hit, you will always survive, well, just the once during battle with 1 HP, and that can really be game changer in the title battle. You can extend this to have 2 per character, which really shakes things up. You might want to probably invest in some elemental defense because, again, all of these factors matter when it comes to FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. As time goes on, you unlock upgrades, so certain weapons and armor will be in yellow text. This indicates that these can be upgraded. These could get new effects on the weapon. They could do extra things during battle, or it could just simply increase your attack power that much further. There's so much to mess around with. I feel like I'm only scratching the surface so far, and it's something that I want to invest in and see if I can get that ultimate combination of my weapons and armor. The last thing I want to touch on when it comes to the mechanics of the game is the growth map. Going back to Final Fantasy X, this is much akin to the sphere grid, and again, this is unlocked in part 2, and it opens up the avenue of what you can do in battle and with all your characters, which I forgot to mention during the combat feel really unique. And this is where you can unlock their limit breaks, or they're called something along the lines of tension or something like that, and essentially the bar fills up and you select one of your characters to use one of these ultimate attacks depending on your situation. This is all unlocked in the growth map. It's crazy, and the best thing about it is that it can be respect at any time at no cost. So when you go into a boss battle and you're thinking, man, I really wish I went through this direction of my growth map, you can just respec it for that battle, use the benefits that come with that, and really strategize. It's what I've been loving. I've been doing a lot of thinking and a lot of reassessing of my characters, the growth map, the weapons, the jewels, the armor, everything that I've equipped, and trying to get that ultimate satisfaction of beating these because I've used my mind and I've used all of the gameplay elements that have been thrown at me. I want to quickly touch on the end game and the extras of FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. Now, I haven't completed the game, but I am aware of some of the features that are here. There are secret bosses, there are end game bosses, there are secret quests, there are secret items to find. Not only that, you can unlock New Game Plus, and you don't even need to complete the game to do it, but you might want to, because in FANTASIAN Neo Dimension is the Void Realm, which is an ultimate test of everything you've learned. I'm pretty excited to dive into this. I know I'm probably going to get my ass kicked, but it's there for those that really want a true challenge when it comes to all of the systems of FANTASIAN. And before we finish talking about FANTASIAN Neo Dimension, I want to talk about the music. Nobuo Uematsu is the composer of this game, and at first I was like, yeah, it's all right. But there was a moment where I booted up the game and I was sitting in the main menu screen and I was listening to it and listening to it again, and then it just hit me. I was like, what? And then I just got the soundtrack. I got what the main theme was telling me as I got further through the game. And all of the music just really clicked with me. This is one of the best works that Nobuo Uematsu has created here. And I really think that you should just listen as intently as you can to the soundtrack of FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. I think it's important to also note you can change the battle music when it comes to the normal battles, the dimension battles, and the boss battles with past Final Fantasy music, though I find it a little bit odd on how you select it. It doesn't tell you what tracks you're gonna get. Also, the Endwalker selection of tracks are obviously Final Fantasy IV based, and a majority of the Pixel Remaster tracks that you get are also Final Fantasy IV. So there's a lot of Final Fantasy IV here. I hope that maybe they'll dive back in and put a few more tracks that we can actually select, but doing the dimension battles to the Battle of Gilgamesh from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was quite the treat, and a kick-ass theme just to make me feel so powerful defeating all of these enemies in one go. And there we have it, FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. This is an incredible RPG, though talking about everything that I've talked about, I expect no less. This is one of those that might fly under the radar for a lot of people, like it did back in 2021 because it came out on Apple Arcade. But there's no excuse now. It is out on everywhere, and I'm really interested to know if you are going to be playing FANTASIAN Neo Dimension. Let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.